Duke was a fantastic experience, and the brilliance of the academicians and the scientists that work at Duke is impressive.
When I moved here, I immediately noticed there was a real love of the institution. There's a tremendous amount of collegiality. So I was not siloed in my own department, but interacted with faculty all over the campus. I've always been very curious about the world. I've always loved science and math. When I went to college, I thought maybe medicine, but I went more in the research end of things.
Since an early age, I was always interested in science and math, and I always had an admiration and respect for physicians and the profession. I knew at an early age I wanted to go to medical school. My interest was in the design of artificial lungs, which has some relevance in the design of ECMO oxygenator circuits, and I was interested in some trauma clinical research.
There's no question in my mind that it was our family physician. He was very influential in the way he practiced, how kind he was, how considerate he was. And so it was a goal to become a physician in my mind at that point, very much emulating the practice that he had. That's what initially drove me into medicine. I actually decided that I would go into radiology.
I assumed I would be a doctor, but I was really taken with chemistry, and at that time a nascent science biochemistry. And I thought I could combine these two in an academic career. My research has been in the general area of human physiology, and many of the papers have to do with human disease.
I got very interested about the medical applications of physics, especially the brain activities. One leading reason which brought me to medical physics is I tried to understand how could we image and recognize the memories of human beings.
When I hit 18, I worked in ICUs, I worked in emergency rooms while I was going to college. And that pretty much decided that I wanted to pursue medicine along with research.
I wanted to do something to help somebody. And initially I thought of psychiatry. But when I got to medical school, it was clear I had more of an intensive bent. I got a call from Paige Henderson, who was on the search committee and wanted me to take a look at the position at Duke. I think what impressed me were the people I met. Plus, the nursing people were also very bright, very energetic, always wanting to make better practice and so forth.
I first came to Duke in 1994. I was finishing my second year of residency, and I decided at that time I wanted to go for my PhD in biomedical engineering. During that time, I met Bob Anderson, who was named to succeed Dr. Sabiston at Duke as the chief of surgery. He asked me to come down to Duke with him, and here I am. I think I'm most proud of the development of our trauma program at Duke. I was the trauma medical director here for 25 years, and during that time we saw exponential growth in our trauma volume. By the time I left last year, we had been putting over 4,000 patients a year into our trauma registry.
My research focused mainly on the regulation of genome stability. It's a job where something new can happen every day. I like finding the unexpected. That's what's made it fun all these years. And if it ever got boring or not interesting, I'd get out of it because it's just too hard. I've always liked problem solving, and that's a lot of what it is.
I went to the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center. We built a very good reproductive endocrinology and infertility section, but it was not a program anywhere near the level of the Duke. When I came in, I was a lot more productive, able to get more funding, and did some really cool stuff doing research at Duke. It was fantastic.
I discovered the protein that we now call anchorin and its role in connecting spectrin, which is the peripheral membrane protein, to the inside of red cells. About at this time, Duke offered me a position as a Howard Hughes Medical Institute investigator. When I first set foot on campus, it was a very exciting time. I felt that Duke could rival Stanford and Boston as an epicenter of science. It was a great time to be here.
In 1981, we saw our very first case of a disease. In May of 1981, we saw a second case. It was AIDS. And over the next year, we saw thousands of patients with that. And so I had a reputation for knowing something about imaging the chest in patients with AIDS. At Duke, we had different facilities, different capabilities. Saw a lot more patients with lung cancer and with unusual lung diseases, which became the focus of my work.
My major focus at Duke is try to develop and implement precision radiation therapy treatment techniques, and also the quality insurance program in radiation therapy that will substantially improve the quality of patient care as well as the treatment outcomes. I think that's impact many parties. The first thing certainly is the patient.
We started to attract fellows from Duke, and I think that was great. By 2000, I put a grant together for the NICHD Neonatal Research Network, and we got accepted in 2001, which was major. So from that started our clinical research and tightening that up and getting really excellent people to work with us.
I love the Duke environment, and now that I've retired, it's a great place to retire. Next, I'm going to the Galapagos. Traveling is something I want to do that I have never had the opportunity to do. And Galapagos has been on my bucket list for many years. I was into photography a bit when I was in college, and I rediscovered it there. I love taking pictures of birds, which really surprised me. So I'd like to take more adventure-type trips.
We love traveling, so we've got some plans already, and spend some more time with my family. There are always projects to do around the house, which I love doing.
My son had a baby boy in January of last year. And then, almost 100 days exactly, my daughter became pregnant and have twin girls. So yes, I think we will be occupied.
I published one of my fellows' paper after I retired, so I still dabble in things. Got 3 grandchildren. We spend time traveling there to play with the grandchildren, and that's always fantastic.
My wife and I share a passion for agriculture and healthy use of land, and we currently have a farm that we put a farm easement on. It's 90-some acres north of Hillsborough. This is a very life-affirmative place.
Typically, I have a set like a 5-year goal. Now then, the next 5 years, if I really want to retire, that would be to bring the education and quality care beyond the Duke and beyond this country.
It's just amazing how fast the time has flown since 1987. I can't believe I'm sitting here getting ready for the Emeritus dinner. But that's the way it is.
I think that if I had not come to Duke, I'm afraid that all of the wonderful things that have happened to me because of my involvement in academic medicine would not have happened.